All right. So today we're going to talk about training. Especially as some of us are going to be back into the gym. Not all of us, but some of us. And so I want to give you some clarity and some understanding around like rep ranges and why we use different rep ranges, why sometimes we do 10 reps, why sometimes we might do 5 reps or whatever, especially because basically as I grew up, right, there was this belief that there was a rep range to bulk, and then there was a rep range to cut, and there was like a kind of a bro wisdom. And I still nowadays hear that sometimes when I talk to people, say, oh, what kind of training are you doing? We got Andrea coming in as well, so let's make it join in. So still nowadays when I hear that, I'm like, doesn't really work like that. So because I truly believe the more you understand, the better you train. So you guys, I hope you have the luxury of training with me. So I want to share as much as possible because I don't want you just to do it. I want you to learn as well, because I know that as you learn, you do better. And so let's start from the basics, right? So different rep ranges. Why? So when you go to like PT school, or what you learned from basic knowledge is basically you have a strength range of reps, which is normally between 1 and 5. Then you have an hypertrophy range, which is between, I would say, 6 and 12, but 8 and 12 is a little bit closer. And then you have the so-called endurance range, which is 12 to 20 and plus. Okay, so this is a better way to look at rep ranges and how they integrate into training, rather than there is a rep range for I do less rep, heavier weight when I bulk, and then I do more reps when I cut. So that's, I wouldn't say absolute bullshit, but very close. I mean, there is not much truth behind that. But when it comes down to, strength work, yes, between 1 and 5, it's recommended for strength work, and I'm going to tell you why in a second. 8 to 12, yes, is hypertrophy, and then endurance 12 to 20 plus. Yes, although I might not like the word endurance. So let's dig deeper. Why reps? Okay, and basically the concept behind the reps, and you might be familiar with this because you use it when we train, is actually the time under tension. So we use reps to determine time under tension. So time under tension is actually how long one set lasts. So when you start doing your press ups, let's say you do 10 reps. Okay, by 10 reps, what does that mean? It's because if I do 10 reps fast, totally it's not the same as doing it slow, although it's still 10 reps. So we use mainly reps as a baseline, but in reality, what we're looking at is time under tension. And that is the reason why in your programs, in the programs that I make, and I like to be a bit more specific using the tempo, because now every rep should last the same amount of time. So for example, if I say, let's do a 4 seconds down, 0 second at the bottom, 1 second up, 0 seconds at the top. So that's 4 seconds down, 1 second up, tempo. That means that every rep lasts 5 seconds. So now when I tell you, let's do 10 reps, it means the 10 reps are going to take 50 seconds total. So now we have actually, instead of reps, we have a time and attention, which, you know, you don't count how many seconds you're doing the exercise, but you count in reps and you count the tempo at which you do it. And as a result, you're going to have a certain amount of time and attention. So again, if I do 10 reps fast, it's not the same as doing 10 reps slow, right? Because it changes the time and attention. So yes, you know, using reps as a baseline, it's more helpful than, you know, not counting reps. But, you know, after we say, okay, reps, there is also something else that we need to look at, which is the tempo. And basically we get the time and attention. So time and attention, depending on the goal, basically we have, you know, the same way we have reps 1 to 5, 6 to 12, and then 12 to 20 is the same thing for the time and attention. And so basically we end up having from between 1 and 30 seconds is your strength work. So anything between 1 and 30 seconds is your strength work. Then between 30 and 70 seconds is your hypertrophy range. And then you have 70 to 2 minutes. So that's 120, 130 seconds. That's your muscular endurance. So now, you know, instead of just reps, you have a better understanding of, okay, time and attention, and also why we use tempo. So basically we use tempo to standardize the amount of time and attention that every set is going to last. And so yeah, that's the basic. Now, of course, let's say we're going to do press ups, and let's say I can do 20 press ups using a 4-0-1-0 tempo. So that's 5 seconds a rep. That's 20 reps. That's 100 second time and attention, right? And I can do 20. So I can do 100 seconds of time and attention with my body weight doing press ups. Now, if I do press ups for 30 seconds, you know, is that my strength work? No, because now what we're looking at is not just the time and attention, but we need to layer up that with the intensity. So when you look at the time and attention, so 1 to 30 seconds is strength, 30 seconds to 70 is hypertrophy, 70 to 130 is muscle endurance. But given that we are working on those interval of times with enough intensity. So if I do something light for 30 seconds, you know, I'm not working my strength. To work my strength, I need to work with the load intensity, which allows me to work for 30 seconds, but, you know, like really, really hard, really intense. So, you know, if we go back to the reps and we have a 4-0-1-0 tempo, then that's 5 seconds a rep, 5 reps, that's 5 times 5, 25, that's 25 seconds. So you see, you know, that's between 1 and 30 strength. So if I'm working with a heavy enough weight with a high intensity, then I'm going to have my strength work because, you know, it's 25 seconds and, you know, it fits between this, you know, the strength range, the intensity is high. So I'm going to work towards strength. And that's, you know, that's the same for each time and attention interval. So, you know, you need to work kind of as hard as possible for that amount of time. And you're going to get the benefit of working that time and attention. Yeah, so that's the first part. Is it clear? Make sense?
Yeah.
So, cool. So now, so you see, basically, we got a few things to layer up, isn't it? So when we look at training, okay, now I'm going for a tangent, but I like it. So, you know, when we train, we got different variables, okay? So we got the intensity, so the load that we use. So if you're doing push-up, in that, it can be your body weight, right? Or you can add weight on your back or whatever. When we use weights, we go heavier. So that's intensity. Then we have the time and attention, okay? So reps and the tempo, the combination of reps and tempo, which makes the time and attention. And then you have, your rest periods as well. So you see that, in the programs, basically all I'm doing is playing with these ingredients. So I've got rest periods, I got number of reps and tempo, and then I got the intensity, right? So whenever we do that, we basically playing with different ingredients to make the program right for you. So let's go back to strength, hypertrophy, and endurance. I want to give you a little insight on, why 1 to 30 seconds is for strength, and why 30 to 70 is hypertrophy, and why 70 to 130 is muscle endurance, and what are the benefits of it. So basically, strength work, imagine, so there is obviously your muscles are connected to your brain. Let's call it brain, but it's a nervous system really, but brain. So when we do strength work, basically what we're trying to do, we're trying to make the connections between the brain and the muscles more efficient. It's like, imagine is you are a robot. Basically we're making a faster circuit in the robot, right? We're creating more circuit, we getting in a bigger RAM, basically a faster system in the robot. Okay, so strength work is actually it's not that mechanical. So for example, in theory, you can get strong without getting bigger. You will get bigger when you do strength work, but in theory, it can also not happen. Okay, so you have muscles, you have the brain. Strength work, it makes the connection between the brain and the muscle better. But there is a benefit to that, because basically every time I do strength work, I'm creating better connection and more connection to my muscles, which means I'm gonna be able to use more of the muscle. Now, I don't remember the actual. This is very interesting. I don't remember the actual figures, but if you go, for example, on YouTube and you type, I don't remember the name of the video, but basically like, people doing crazy stuff, like let's say some moms have the son under a car, you see, like a 40-kilo woman able to lift a car, something like crazy, or people that, is hanging from a cliff and is able to go back up, stuff like that. Basically, you are actually stronger than you are. You are capable to do stuff that you don't even imagine. The only problem is your brain is pulling the brakes, and we have this system to prevent us from snapping the muscle. Okay, so basically the muscle is actually very strong. You can actually lift a car even if you've never done it. The only problem is you have a natural brake inside your brain that it doesn't allow it, because your brain is like, careful, we're gonna snap. So when we do strength work, we basically, it's like almost like a vaccine. It's like we're telling the body that it's okay. It's okay to go there. It's okay to go there. It's okay to lift heavier. I got it. So basically, that's how you increase strength, which I found it very fascinating. Because basically, when you go to the gym and you work, and when you do strength work, especially, you're not even getting stronger. You're actually unlocking your potential, which I found very fascinating. But that's basically how it works. And strength work, it's very important to have the technique dialed in. Again, because it's a brain muscle movement connection. So you want to make sure that you repeat the movement as much as possible. You want to repeat the same movement as perfect as possible, as many times as possible. That's how you're basically telling your body that it's okay. So with strength work, we don't want to go close to failure, right? Because we know we need to tell the body that it's okay. So for example, if I was going to do 5 reps, most of the times, probably 80 to 90% of the times, I want to do a weight that I'm going to do 5 reps, but in reality, I can probably do 6 or 7. So I'm going to keep that buffer in between. Why? Because if I'm trying to lift every time as heavy as possible for 5 reps, the 5th rep is always, or most of the time, is going to be like really hard. And then I'm not going to do it as well as I could. So for strength work, I like to keep that buffer, we call it, between what you can actually do and what you want to do. So that's for the strength work. When we're looking at hypertrophy, as you can see, hypertrophy is that kind of middle ground. So, 30 seconds to 70 seconds of time under tension. And of course, we're going to use, a way that is lighter than for the strength work, but not too light. So we want enough. And this is the key of the hypertrophy work, is the mechanical tension, right? We want to put the muscle under tension for a prolonged amount of time. And this is, most of the times we want it to feel uncomfortable. Okay. We want to create that, some people call it pain, but it's not pain. But we want to get that uncomfortable feeling into the muscle. And this, basically creates a stress. So now we're actually working the muscle. Imagine the muscle contract and relax. Now we're actually working it. We stress it. We're basically trying to make micro damages. And then, once we recover from it, we should be able to build new tissue, new muscle. So basically the hypertrophy work is more of a mechanical stress. We want to kind of destroy a little bit the muscle to then rebuild it. That's why it's important, to go into that mental space that, if you're trying to grow, that is going to be uncomfortable. The last reps, they need to feel hard, basically, which is different than strength work. Strength work obviously it's going to feel hard because it's heavy, but you still want to feel in control. And for hypertrophy, no, you actually want to get like as close as possible to that failure. But even then, there is times and place to go all out and times and place to keep that kind of buffer. But when it comes down to hypertrophy, the buffer is less. We probably want to leave 1 rep. Sometimes, we just want to push it until the last rep. And then muscle endurance. Endurance, it can be tricky to think of as an endurance. I like to think more of a pump, right? So basically, when we do higher reps, 12, 20 reps, we're basically trying to pump the muscle, literally. So basically, what's going to happen then, you're gonna get loads of water, blood and water inside the muscle. That's why you feel the pump, and that's why the muscle looks bigger and swollen. And basically, the reason why we do that is because so imagine your muscle as a balloon. The more you can inflate the balloon, the bigger the balloon gets, the more nutrients as well are gonna go in. That's the way our cell in the body work, right? It's called osmosis. So the more space there is inside, the more nutrients are gonna go inside. So that's a good time to get loads of nutrients, all the protein, the amino acids, vitamins, minerals to get into the muscle. Again, this one is probably, you feel the pump. Again, the pump is also us that feeling of uncomfortable, but it's also, at least for me, it's pleasurable. Okay, you feel a little bit of pleasure from the higher reps. You feel the muscle kind of exploding, right? And that's literally what's happening. Your muscle cells are expanding, nutrients are going in. So more endurance, it makes you think of running and stuff like that. So if you want to increase your endurance, you do running. But muscle, we're talking muscle endurance, which yes, but I prefer to talk about pump. So those are the three, basically how the system works. And when we're looking at training, we are basically trying to get a good mix and balance. And there is different ways to do it. Like, you can have the three stimulus in the same sessions. For example, you can start with strength work, then you go into hypertrophy work, and then you finish with pump. Or you can do something similar, but maybe for maybe 3 months or a few weeks, you focus on a bit more strength work, then you move into more of a hypertrophy, and then I would say the pump, you always keep the pump in there, because it's good to get the blood into the muscle, the nutrients to the muscle. But you play around with this. And so going back to the first thing, which is reps for bulking and reps for cutting, now that we looked into the reps, there is actually no such a thing, because if you when you bulk or you cut, so whether you want to lose fat or you want to build muscle, that is done with actually a combination of the three different stimulus at any time. And it comes down to nutrition mainly. So if you're bulking, the main thing that makes you bulk is your nutrition rather than the rep ranges. Although, if you're eating more, you're trying to build muscle, makes sense to be, to do like strength work or hypertrophy work. But again, you can do all three every session all the time, whether you're bulking or cutting. The difference is going to be in the nutrition. So that's just to give you a bit of clarity behind the old wisdom that I was talking about. So lots of informations. Let me have a sip of water. Think of a question, if you got one. Anything, regarding training, or something that a question that came up with all this information that I'm giving you. Anything? Don't be shy. Cool. So yeah, basically, as a rule of thumb, depending on where we are at with your training, there is going to be a variation of all these factors, right? So for example, just as we do at the moment, we're keeping everything kind of the same, but we're reducing the rest times, right?
Yeah.
So this is the kind of, we're working with just playing with one, we got the different variables. I'm just playing with one and keeping the rest the same, right? So that's one example. And, for example, for you at the moment, we're just working on one rep range. And, especially at the beginning, you're going to get, even doing like 10 reps all the time, you're going to get benefits in all this area. You're going to get a little bit stronger. You're going to get the hypertrophy, of course, because 10 reps, and you're going to get some of the pump, higher reps kind of stuff, especially with other exercises they will make you do. So at the beginning, it's a little bit easier because you get lots of gains from, even if you do the same thing. But for example, for you, Jitesh, it's going to be different, right? So basically, now we've been working in our home. So I introduced you to tempo, right? So we're gonna work towards applying that into the gym, right? And also, I know you like strength work, so we're gonna do that soon. I'm just gonna make you ease into it. And
Sounds good.
so, at the moment your rep range and your tempo is somewhere in between strength and hypertrophy, just to make you do, good quality work. And
Yeah.
but later on you're gonna work more of, you're gonna have phases of strength, because I know you like it. But you're gonna have some, hypertrophy work, pump work. So you're gonna see a combination of all these things together. um and yes, that's pretty much it, really. So remember that I'm gonna make sure that you got a balance of all these things happening at the same time. And just remember that if you ever think, I want to lose fat or I want to build muscle, whether your goal is, when it comes down to body composition, just remember that it comes down to nutrition. um, there is no magic reps that's gonna burn fat. What we do with training, actually, yes, we do burn calories when we train, so you're gonna have some benefits from them. But in reality, when we train, and I mean when we lift weights, we work in the muscles. So we know, the fat loss is done with nutrition, with cardio if needed. And when we're working in the gym with weights or even just body weight, the goal there is to work the muscle. So the muscle knows these three things: strength, hypertrophy, or endurance. There is no way that I can't make you do push-up for fat loss. Basically, the push-up is going to be to build the chest, triceps in different ways. So, if you work for strength, hypertrophy, or muscle endurance. So yeah, it's I think it's helpful to know that. At least it was for me. Or at least thinking it that way. And last thing that I'm going to tell you is actually that, okay, knowing what you know now, going back to what there is the wisdom say, like your higher reps to burn fat. The reason why they might think that is because, by doing more reps, you're doing more work in theory. So maybe you're burning more calories. So, okay, so maybe that's where, they were like, oh, you do higher reps to burn fat.
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
However,
you?
just gonna move.
Yeah, I can hear you properly. So
But
you just managed to get it.
in reality, when you do, even if you're losing weight, if you're losing fat, if that's your goal, I'm actually a big believer that, strength work is still important. You should be, you want to maintain the strength when you lose fat. So yes, you might burn less calories because you're lifting for less reps, but then you can make that up by doing, half an hour cardio and stuff like that. So just an extra tip. And yeah, just to make, understand a little bit better why some people say that, but there is other ways to do it. So yeah, cool. I hope you found it helpful. And if you've been shy and you got a question but you didn't want to ask it in live, you can text me on WhatsApp. You can ask on the Facebook group if you're there, on WhatsApp group. So I hope, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something meaningful out of it. And yeah, I would see you. Well, I would see you next week, but obviously we chat soon anyway.
Sounds good. It was useful for me. So
Awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And Justus, what are you saying?
Yes. No, nothing.
Okay. I thought you had a question.
No.
All right. Good stuff, guys. Have a good evening, and let's have a strong week, yeah?
Cool.
Yeah.
And you. See you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Take care.